In this video I'm going to show you how to make this pretty simple depth gauge that only has 3 pieces to it. Thanks to this book, Making Woodworking Aids and Devices by Robert Wearing. It is an excellent book. I will put a link to it in the description. I hope you enjoy it as much as I do. But now, on with the video. Hope you enjoy it. So I've got this piece of sapele, a pencil and an old oak dowel that I made ages ago. So we're going to cut this piece of sapele down a little bit, drill our central hole through it, and then we'll drill our side hole through it, and then we'll start using it. So now we've got our little piece of sapele. The only thing we need to do really is to make a hole through the middle of it here. I suppose it doesn't have to be exactly in the centre, but might as well make it in the centre. And then once the pencil's through that hole, we then make another hole in the side that kind of intersects the hole that's coming down. So when you place a dowel in there, it'll act as a kind of wedge to keep this pencil in. So let's drill the hole straight down through the middle for the pencil, and then we'll do the sideways one for the dowel. So working out the centre of a square object is always pretty simple. You just get your rule or a straight edge and go from corner to corner. You don't even have to go all the way to the corner, obviously. You can just get it so it's got that central mark in there. There we go, where the lines intersect is our centre line, so pretty simple. So I've got this awl from a YouTuber called the Wood Yogi. I won it in a competition. I'm just going to put a point in there so that we know where our centre mark is. Then I've got a 7mm brad point bit. I mean, you don't have to use a brad point bit, but I think it's a lot easier because then I can put it straight into the hole and it doesn't move. And the plan is to drill through here and keep feeling underneath, and when the point just comes through the other end, then I'll flip the wood over and drill from the other side to prevent any breakout. Now I can feel the point has come through. I'll show you. There we go, the point has just come through the other end. So now I can pull that out, put it back in the vise, and drill in from this end. And that way we avoid, or at least reduce, the breakout. So now we've got our 7mm hole through our piece of wood, and you could, I suppose, stop there if you wanted to, because this pencil goes in quite firmly. You kind of got yourself a depth gauge already. But you know, struggling to pull it out, push it in, it's not something you really want to do every time. The pencil will probably, you know, wear down and become loose over time. It's already becoming looser in there, so you know it won't be that accurate, I don't think. But if you wanted a really quick depth gauge, you could just do that: bit of wood, drill a hole, depth gauge. But we're going to go a step further, and we're going to have it so this dowel goes through the edge here and pushes up against the pencil just a little bit to wedge it in place. So now I'm going to show you how I'm going to work out where to put that hole through the side. So there's a number of ways of doing this next stage, but I suppose I'm going to try and do it in the most direct way I can think of. So that would be to take this drill bit, which is about the size of the dowel, and hold it just slightly over the edge of this hole, so just encroaching over the hole a little bit. And then to kind of put some pressure down on it, flip it up, and then put a point in. And then from that point we can draw a square line down to the edge on both sides, and then drill in from both sides to try and make that hole come through there as evenly as possible. So I'm going to put my pencil tip in the hole that we made, move the square up to the edge of it, and then shoop, shoop, like that across there. And then we have a nice square line across there. Take it down to the sides, get it into the centre of this part, and then drill through. So now I'm going to drill straight down into this hole. Hopefully you should see the bit sort of emerge on that side a little bit. Let's see what happens. So now we've got our holes right there, top and side. We'll do a bit of a test fit. Get the pencil in there, put the dowel through, and I mean, it fits, but it's very tight. You don't want to be doing that every time, you know, you want to use the depth gauge, especially with the depth gauge, you kind of want to change it quite regularly. Sometimes, you know, if you're doing something, lots of different levels to it. So we'll pull that out. What I'm going to do is trim the dowel down, make it slimmer. You could take this hole a little bit further away. You could take this hole a little bit further away from the other hole to make them fit better. But I'm just going to trim the dowel down. I feel like that's probably the easiest way to do it. So one thing I want to show before I come to the end is that I actually made 2 of these. So this was the first one, which is kind of like a prototype. This is the one I finished with. The first one, what I did was I made the hole a little bit bigger than the pencil. I thought, well, you know, it'll be okay because it's going to get wedged anyway. And I mean, it kind of is okay, but I wasn't happy with just how far to the side that pencil was leaning from there. I didn't like that. So I thought, okay, well, just make the hole smaller. So I went down a size in the hole, I went to 7mm instead, and then I just kept using a file just to get it to fit. So you can see it's in there, but it can pull all the way through, but it's kind of getting caught in there. So that hole's pretty tight, but loose enough for me to, you know, manage the pencil. And then the wedge goes in there, and there you go. So I think that works a lot better. So it's a lot nicer to get the hole closer to the size of the pencil rather than just make it a bit bigger and think like, oh well, the wedge will hold it, because then you get a really wonky pencil. So if you're not familiar with what a depth gauge does, basically it helps you get an even depth across the place that you're working in. So in this case we're sort of digging out a mortise here. I'm going to try and get everything down to this depth that's in the centre right here. So I'm going to put the pencil in, put it on the centre there. There I've got my depth. I can put the wedge in the side. Keep this pencil pushed down. There we go, that's my depth. You could also measure it if you wanted, you know, take it out, measure it with a ruler and get it to the depth you want. You could do it that way. So now I can move this across here and I can see that that's too high, that's too high. So now I can take it down a bit, and then eventually that line won't be on there anymore. So let's try it on this side first. Get that stuff out of there. Now let's use the depth gauge again. So now you can see it's not making a mark on that side. So I've got it the right depth, but it is making a mark on this side, which means that bit's too high, so you just keep trimming down and then you've got your depth. Thanks a lot for watching that video. I think it's actually a really good beginner's woodworking project. You know, it teaches you how to measure accurately, drill properly, and it's also a really useful tool, a really handy one, especially when using mortises and things like that. If you want to see me do more woodworking, I do a lot of carving and all kinds of stuff on twitch.tv/timberandew. I stream there live every Monday, Wednesday, Friday and Saturday. I would love to have you there. If you're new to the channel, please like and subscribe, and I will catch you again next time. Thank you very much for watching. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to trim the